Okay, the next thing that came in the interview with Assad, this is one of those things where like you don't, like I don't know whether to laugh or cry. It's not funny, but at the same time, like it'd be funny if it wasn't so serious what's happening. This is actually, but he was so buried because he has an accent and it goes by really fast. Okay, he was saying, I mean, it's just so, it's just, well, see if you hear this the way I hear it. It was what he's saying is what do you think of those images? But gassed and everything. But he says that what we're saying isn't derived from reality. That we're like sort of that we're projecting onto his country things that go on in other Middle Eastern countries. Like we don't do that. The other ones, I mean, it's like no, that's what goes on in other Middle Eastern countries. Like you're projecting. It's kind of like what he said. But then he said, "Well, what's the source?" I mean, we also have like images, but he said, "Well, what's the source of all your information about us?" And they said like, and he said like, "Well, intelligence analysts." And he said like, analysts who do they live in the U.S.? I mean, it's kind of like childish where it went at a point. Oh, analysts? You mean analysts who live in the U.S.? I mean, this is like really dumb, but sort of sick. Okay, but no, this. I mean, this is the okay. Then it just things you notice. Okay, but then they even went as far as this. They said, but he just Brett Baer, one of them, or Dan Kucinich just used the word. He said, "Well, look, our analyst feelings are this." I mean, what he meant is the analyst findings. But then and Assad came back and said, like, basically, what no one cares about their feelings. It's what's, but that's not what he meant. He meant that that's what they've analyzed. We don't care about how they feel. I mean, it sort of got childish for like a minute there. But then he said, okay, he said that this is what he claimed. Oh, this was the other thing that was like, you don't know whether it's not funny, but that we said that we think that they don't want to be an ally of ours. And that, we're the greatest military power on earth. He's like, of course we want to be your ally. I mean, it was like things like that for a while were in there that were like childish and weird. Okay, but then he said, look, this is sort of claim is that he said, well, there's all these European governments allied with Middle Eastern dictatorships, and he said they all sit around. They used the word sit around. He said they just sit around deciding what should happen in other sovereign countries. Like, that he used the word sit around was just, it had this, like, for the sort of one part of it, it got really, like, childish, the way they were sort of, like, debating or whatever. And then, what did they find? But because he had an accent, because it was going by so fast, like, it had to notice it, but like I said, was this sort of, like, childish, where this is going? Like, the way he's talking, but that they're sort of, what else happened? I mean, there was this, every step of it was like kind of different.